Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. So I found this amazing metaphysical shop located in Illinois, specifically Crystal Lake, Illinois. I have never seen a place that offers so many different modalities. It's just incredible, from Reiki to psychics to chakra to everything metaphysical and spiritual. But then we add to that, they also have an amazing rock shop. They got crystals and so much more. I am talking about Enlightened Balance Chakra Spa, and we've got the owner with us back again today, and that is Kim Malone. Kim, how are you doing today?
I'm excited to be here. We're super excited to also have one of my practitioners, Heather, here with me, who is kind of our specialist on love readings. So we thought that would be fun for a February kind of thing.
Oh, I love that. Hey, Heather, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm well, yeah. 631-319-6275 is our number, 631-319-6275, or instantfeedbacksteve@gmail.com if you want Heather to pull a couple of cards on you. So is it tarot or is it oracle? What do you work in?
Well, I do both, actually. So they're either way, they both definitely pick up on the energies that need to be picked up on in the reading, but they both just kind of bring different interpretations to the table.
I've heard that tarot is a little darker. Does that make sense? Do you feel that way?
Well, once again, it kind of depends on the interpretation. It kind of depends on how the cards come out together. Because basically with any reading, it doesn't matter whether it's an oracle card pull or a tarot card pull. It's literally like reading a story. So the different cards together kind of come together in a different type of context. So it's like, for example, if you have the Ten of Swords, which can be about painful endings, paired together with a Tower card, that's not so great news. That's kind of bad news coming your way. However, if you take that Tower card and you put it together with the Ten of Cups, it could be indicating difficult transformation, but going into a place where it's going to be taking you to like your happily ever after, your dreams manifesting kind of a thing.
You know, I always think too with like the death card, people always are like, oh my gosh, I got the death card. But it could be the end of that cycle, new beginning of something else. So, you know, the death card doesn't necessarily mean, you know,
yes,
you have minutes to live.
Like,
you know,
Right.
For me as a reader, I always see the death card, honestly, and I instantly think rebirth. I don't necessarily think death. I automatically kind of go to the place of like, oh, this means something is ending because something new is beginning. And in order for something new to begin, sometimes something has to pass away in a sense. So, I mean, I think for myself personally, I kind of try and see life through a positive lens. So even if there's bad news to bring to the client, I always try to, you know, help them see like, let's look at the positive in this situation. Let's see how it is we're growing out of this, what we're learning out of this, how are things becoming better out of this challenge and difficulty.
It's almost as if, yeah, like the cliche, one door closes, one door opens, sort of like that.
Yes.
Gotcha. And now Heather, you focus on love and relationships, or that's just one aspect of card readings that you do?
One aspect, but I am kind of known as like the resident love guru in a sense. It was never something that I like intentionally set out to be or do, but that's kind of just the people that find me naturally. So I roll with it.
Love it. That's your niche. That's your specialty, I guess.
Yes.
Right.
Exactly.
Well, you know what? I'm fully transparent if you want to pull some cards on me.
Okay. All right. Did you have a preference in either tarot or oracle cards?
I'd like to say I do, but I really don't. So I'm going to leave that to you.
Okay.
Whatever you feel.
All right. Well, let me dig around here in my bag for a minute, and I'll go with whatever deck kind of feels the most fitting for your situation.
Okay.
Steve, I have to tell you, I'm incredibly impressed that you said instead of tarot, you said tarot, which is the actual correct pronunciation. But we kind of give up on it even ourselves, though, because it feels like we're correcting people when they say tarot, and then we, come back with tarot. But that's great that you're pronouncing it properly, kind of like chakra is really chakra, and there's many other things that everybody kind of pronounces incorrectly, but the world kind of goes with the incorrect pronunciation.
Well, you know what? Kim, I'll tell you, I used to say tarot, and then I gravitated to tarot because I realized it's the way to say it. Is there a root, like a tarot root, and that's why people say it that way when we refer to the cards? I think there is.
Yeah, so the original, most decks started off with the original Rider-Waite deck, and then everybody kind of stylized it from there. But yes, I mean, it has a French beginning, so I think that's where the, tarot as opposed to tarot kind of came from. So, funny enough, Heather was just shuffling the deck, minding her own business, and a card flew out. So let's see what it.
That's kind of what I like to go with. I like to just let the cards kind of fly out naturally, because when they do that, it's like, okay, that's spirit definitely coming in with a message, trying to say something here.
Okay.
And you have the 5 of Wands that came through. So that's not exactly the happiest card, unfortunately.
Fabulous.
But what it indicates is kind of like conflict and chaos. So you could be just kind of going through a difficult time right now, a challenging time where there's a lot of conflict and chaos. Since I don't have any other cards right now for necessarily reference, you could really apply this to any area of your life. It could be in your personal life, in your professional life, just kind of wherever it is that makes sense for you. But there definitely seems to be some kind of chaotic energy, at least.
Spot on.
Well, there you go.
Well, we're unhappy for your chaos, but we're happy that it's accurate.
Well, there's always positive in there, and I see the positive, so I'm good with that. But all I would say is put that card aside for a while, and let's go for another one.
Okay. All right.
Setting it aside.
Maybe we'll get some context here, or maybe like, oh, okay, we got one already.
And by the way, I just want to say I'm not confirming or denying just because we're talking that the truth, like what you just said, exactly, like so spot on. Just that's
well,
it.
that's good.
Yeah.
I mean, like not from the aspect of like, we don't want you to go through chaos, obviously, but it's good that it's resonating.
Oh, for sure.
The next card that we have here is the King of Pentacles, which in this situation, I feel like basically represents you in this situation. The King of Pentacles, he's basically like the king of money. So, I mean, at least from that perspective, it's saying that you're probably financially pretty good. But in terms of like his qualities, his characteristics, he is stable, he's reliable, he's dependable. This is a guy that you can count on. He's a good father. He makes a good husband. He makes a good businessman. So he's old reliable. So I feel like even though you're going through a lot, like you have a solid foundation within you, which is a good thing.
I hear what you're saying, and I kind of worked on that in my journey. So I know what you're saying, and that foundation got a lot better in my journey. Basically, that's it. So yeah, that definitely resonates.
Good. Yeah, you can definitely use that foundation to kind of get through the chaos that's happening right now. So.
Yep, I gotcha.
Oh, they're flying out. Like I barely shuffle, and they're like, "Whoop! Here we go. Here's another one." And we have the Ace of Cups coming through. So the Ace of Cups can be a new beginning emotionally. Sometimes those emotions can be tied to love, simply because, love is one of like the biggest emotions that we have as human beings.
Mm-hmm.
But it's definitely coming from a place of emotion. So I feel like coming out of this chaotic time that you're experiencing in your life, you do have an opportunity for a new and fresh start emotionally, something that's going to be healthy, something that's going to be positive for you.
I understand that. I don't have proof of that yet, but I am going to share with you that an astrologer or two over the last couple of years, or call it a year and a half, if that. And somebody else who pulled some cards on me a while ago said the same thing, that 2023 would bring what you're saying.
Yeah, that's probably tapping into the future energy. It's just kind of based on the track that you're on right now, which is interesting because sometimes, when we're pulling cards for people, people will ask, like, is this future, like, indefinite? Well, is this, like, my destiny? It's not going to change or whatever. And the truth is, we are co-creators with the universe. So it's kind of based upon our own choices and the way that we approach life. And if we choose to come at life from a place where we are open and we're receptive and we are coming from a healthy, positive perspective, we're going to see those things manifest. It's going to come through in the cards. But if we're approaching life in a negative way and, we're just seeing the glass half empty all the time, then that's what's going to come through. It's going to be like, well, there's going to be this disaster to overcome and that one to overcome. And
Yep.
We obviously don't want that.
Totally. And we're controlling it, and even if that good stuff was floating around out there, we're going to repel it instead of attract it because of negativity or situations. So I totally hear what you're saying there.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow. Is it from experience that you interpret the cards?
Well, it's kind of a combination of a bunch of different things. I mean, I try not to allow my experiences that I have been through, be an impact because it's not my story, it's not my situation. But, there's definitely just tapping into that intuition. Sometimes it's like I'll be pulling cards and that little gut feeling inside of me will go off and be just like, okay, well, it's this, and that. And the logical part of me will be just like, that sounds crazy. Like, I don't want to say that to this client because it doesn't make any sense. And of course it doesn't make any sense to me because I don't technically know all the personal, intricate details of their lives. But if I'm brave enough to just say it anyways, even though it sounds crazy to me, 99.9% of the time, that client is going to be like, oh my gosh, like that's absolutely right.
Mm-hmm. And I'm validating what you said. And again, I'm not just saying it because you're saying it. All this stuff seems to be in place. And they're specific. Like, you could just have thrown out there, you got chaos going on in your life. Yeah, a lot of us do. But what you said and the way you phrased it was exactly what's going on. So it's legit. By the way, we have Kelly. Flint, Michigan checks in instant feedback, steve@gmail.com. She says, I met a guy on New Year's Eve. Do you think this will be a long-term relationship?
All right, let me see. I'm going to see what comes in here. Maybe switch up a deck. Maybe we'll go with an oracle deck on this one.
Oh, okay.
And I'm going to go with a love-specific oracle deck. So.
Oh, you have one of those?
Yeah, oh, yeah. With oracle decks, they come in so many different varieties. You have stuff that's specific for love. You can have stuff that is, more so like spiritual, angel kind of messages. They got decks for everything.
Yeah.
So, funny enough, speaking of decks, while she's getting to shuffling here, in the store, we literally probably have, 300 types of oracle and tarot decks. I really work really hard at having every possible deck, including new authors, people that are trying to kickstart, on Kickstarter, getting new decks going so that we have just a crazy variety of options. And I also, because I think the quality of a deck sometimes can be strange, like the paper quality, the image quality. So I try to have sample cards of all of the decks so people can kind of feel the energy of a particular artist or practitioner's design of a deck. But she is shuffling away to get to the question of the caller. I've already got 2 cards, but I'm going to get one more just to kind of put the puzzle pieces together here and get the full story. So we'll see what's going on here. To hear the cards madly shuffle. I know, I'm like, come on, give me one more card. All right, well, we're only getting 2 for right now, but I'll kind of go over what these two are and maybe try for one more after that. So we have the first card that came through is the Ice King. And the Ice King, he represents someone who is a little bit cold, a little bit shut off. That doesn't necessarily mean that he doesn't care about her or he doesn't like her or he's not interested. It just means he may be one of those guys who's not necessarily emotionally available, which we do come across a lot nowadays. No, he very well could be interested, but even if he is, he may not come across as very warm or cuddly or as emotionally invested as she is. And, once again, we're co-creators with the universe, so she has the choice whether or not she wants to pursue a relationship with someone who is kind of like that. If that's something that just doesn't vibe with her, she always has the choice to kind of let go and move on now. But if she's really interested, she could pursue this path. And we also have the spiritual growth card. So I feel like either way, this man appearing in her life at this time, it definitely was something that was meant to happen. It was something that was meant to come into her life. And it's really ultimately an opportunity for her to have spiritual growth, regardless of the outcome. By the time, she sees herself, a month from now or a year from now, or however long the course of this connection lasts, she is going to see herself grow leaps and bounds and become like this new version of herself.
Wow. So if you were her, you're Kelly. So Heather just switched over to Kelly for 5 seconds. And those cards were pulled. Would you put stake in this relationship at this time?
Oh, that's a difficult. I've been in that situation. No, yeah, no. Well, he did ask me though, if I were Kelly. I have been in that situation, and honestly, if I were to repeat that all over again, that's a hard one because part of me is just no, avoid him. I want someone who I can actually emotionally connect with. But at the same time, I look at the experiences that I've been through and how I've grown and other people who have come into my life because he came into my life. And, everything happens for a reason. So there's another part of me that probably would pursue it. But let me pull one. Oh, there we go. I wanted to get one last card for reference. And we have mature woman. So I feel like that indicates who Kelly is in the situation, that she is a mature woman, that she's probably already gone through a significant amount of spiritual growth already in her life. So, I feel like she is a woman who probably knows what she wants ultimately. So, it's going to be pretty easy for her to decide whether this Ice King is going to be for her or not.
Wow. It's okay, so I have to ask you this, Heather. You pull cards. Obviously,
yes.
You've probably a ton of times pulled them on yourself. Can you do
yes.
that? Can you read? Can you
You
pull cards?
can.
Yeah?
Yeah, you can. Me personally, I'm not necessarily a big fan of pulling cards for myself just because I feel like there's always going to be that personal bias. And I'm always going to be questioning my own card pull, am I really interpreting this right?
Yep.
So I would always prefer, if I do pull cards for myself, obviously I have a lot of friends who work in the same field as me. So it's I may text them the picture and be just what do you think of this card pull? Can you tell me your interpretation? Just to see if, I'm viewing it through the right lens kind of a thing.
Yeah, I would imagine you would invariably overthink it. Let me just
yes.
let me pull another card. Let me just pull another card.
Right.
Well, I think it's interesting what she said about her own bias, because I think that's so, me personally, I never enjoy reading for anybody I know, because ethically, I feel like in my head, am I taking what the person has shared with me that I know of them as a human and combined it with what I'm getting? Do you know what I mean?
Totally.
And that's tricky.
Mhm.
So, not to keep circling back to the store, but what I really like about the flow in the store is all of the practitioners are in private themed closed door rooms. So when I'm talking to a client on the floor, or somebody who's booked an appointment, the practitioner doesn't even know who they're getting until I open their door and say, "Hey, this is Kim. She's doing a half an hour with you today," like that. So there is kind of a real clear. They have no information. They don't have a list of even the first names of their clients for the day. So I think that people really appreciate that they could just be shopping in the moment, decide to have a reading, immediately go to a person. There's not even a way they could, quite honestly, tell me a fake name and I wouldn't know.
Right.
So it's about as ethical of a reading as you can get, because there's not even a way, if we were unethical, to find out any details about the client. So
Absolutely.
I appreciate that a lot.
And even Heather, I've never met Heather, never spoke with her before. We've
Yep,
never seen
this
each
is our
other.
first time.
Yeah. So, and you didn't have any info on me, and I'm taking what you're saying, and I'm not trying to twist it and bend it in a certain way. I'm just, looking at it on surface value, and it applies. That the deck you have an Oracle deck out right now, and that you call that the Love deck?
Well, the name of the deck is Amira's Love Deck. That's the person who put this deck together. But like I said, there's so many different decks. I even have my own deck that I made. So, it's kind of a combination of creativity and artistry and tapping into spirit. So, yeah, I could pull you a card even from my own deck if you want me to.
Oh, let's go there.
Yeah. Well, this one, there are love messages in this one, but it's not strictly love. It kind of has like a pop culture kind of theme to it. So we'll see what we get.
Okay.
A bit of everything.
And you do all types of readings. I'm sure you can do them for couples.
Yeah, for couples, singles. I've even done readings for kids.
Wow. Okay.
Sometimes parents will come in and they'll be just like, "Oh yeah, here's my 10-year-old," and like a reading.
It's so interesting. We can kind of tell, even if we're not immersed in social media. We'll a Disney movie will come out years ago. A Disney movie came out, and at some point in the Disney movie, they took some character went into a sweat lodge and learned their spirit animal. And so I don't have little kids. I didn't know that was going on at all. And every day I would get mothers dragging in little kids. I mean, like 7, 8, 9-year-olds wanting to pay our shamanic practitioner to let them know what their spirit animal was. And I mean, after about 10 of these, I finally was talking to a mom, like, what is going on? Because, why am I getting all these people? And I realized that there was some reference in some movie that was made. So we do get, oddly, people looking for things we've done, even people want readers at their wedding. I mean, we've done a lot of crazy things over the years.
What a cool idea.
Really during the cocktail hours, people could get readings and,
Wow.
Yeah, so.
All right. Well, I did get I have one card so far from my own deck for you, which is interesting. So it says, "Wedding bells liken father of the bride." So,
my mouth
could be getting married.
my mouth just opened. Like, where do I go with that?
Yeah.
Do you have children?
I do.
Are any of them old enough to be getting married?
One of them is, but she was in a relationship. I don't know the status of her relationship right now. I tend to think it kind of, best description, kind of ran its course.
Gotcha.
But I will be checking. I mean, she lives 5 minutes away. We see each other like once a week, once every 2 weeks. But I'll kind of look into that.
Right. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. We got a couple things going on here. Well, I was gonna say with the wedding bells card, even if it's not like your daughter or yourself, there could be just simply someone around you who may either be making that kind of commitment, or you can look at this another way. And when you think of like weddings, it's ultimately about the celebration of a commitment. So even if it's not somebody actually getting married, it could be you or someone around you who could be having a celebration of some kind of commitment in their life. Even if it's not relationship-wise, it could be like commitment to like a new job or signing a new lease for a home or something like that. Because all those things are commitments.
Yep.
They're contracts.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if you're going to pull another card.
I already have one here, like one already flipped out. So,
Okay.
The next one said, needs to come back to life, like in Warm Bodies. I don't know if you've ever seen that zombie movie, Warm Bodies, but
No.
it came out like 10 years ago or something. But, basically like in a zombie movie like that or whatever, you have these characters, they wind up coming back to life through the power of love, ultimately, through loving one another. So it seems like either you or someone around you, basically kind of needs to revive themselves, like emotionally, is what it comes down to. This could be connected to the conflict and chaos that you've been through, in a sense that you may need to kind of revive yourself and bring yourself back to life through love.
I hear it loud and clear, and I will tell you this: I'm in a relationship with somebody, and wondering the direction it's going to go. She's a widow, but fairly recent, so that's been a little challenging. But I will tell you this: like a month ago, we joke around, and we were joking about a wedding date. And we were joking, like, all right, where's the venue going to be? And she even like threw it out to her sister, like, we're just joking around. So it's funny you should say that. And it's so not happening, but it's funny you should say what you said in terms of a wedding. I don't know.
You never know, though. Like, maybe that's the track that you're on, even if
it's 5 years.
Yeah, exactly.
Your person just taking it slow and steady.
Exactly. Yeah. Sometimes the cards will pick up on something that's like way distant, but it's like if it's already in the works, if the energy is already there, it can appear.
And I always say never again for a number of reasons. But then half of me says never say never, because you don't know. You don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. We don't know what's going to happen in the next 10 minutes. We really don't. So interesting. Heather, you also you teach, right?
Yeah, I can help people basically learn and understand how to read tarot.
This is just, I got to tell you, and I've said this, Kim, there's no other place on the planet that does what you do, and psychics available 7 days a week, virtually or at your place, but definitely virtually, right?
Well, literally, we honestly, in our preference, we of course have a beautiful store with a beautiful space and great energy. So we love seeing people, of course, in person. But we do a fair amount of virtual things. We actually recently launched on our website where you can, after hours at unusual times when we are not open, you can log in and prepay for a session virtually. And you can do that at enlightenedbalance.com. But if a person is, at 11 at night at some time when we're not open, or in New York or in California or somewhere else, still can get in touch with us if they choose to and speak to a live human and have a session for sure.
Amazing. There's so many different things. Your website is great. It has all the practitioners on there, as well as everything you offer and the store as well. And it's enlightenedbalance.com. Enlightenedbalance.com. Kim and Heather, thank you so much. Learned a lot about tarot, and specifically, I'm saying it correctly, but also everything else. Great having you on, and I look forward next time we get a chance to get together.
Sounds great. We thank you so much for your time. Have a great day.
Thank you. Take care. Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.